car you're not familiar with, it is hard. So I imagine the competition of those two tracks is very strong, and I know the drivers are great drivers, and it's going to be hard for me to just to jump into a strange car at a strange track and go out there and win, but we're going to try. Even since I've been running Winston Cup cars, every once in a while we'll go out somewhere around the United States and run some dirt races. So I've had a little dirt experience here in the last couple of years, and maybe that'll help me when I come up and race with Billy Taylor.
I lived with Jeff for almost 6 months. We lived together in Bellingham, Massachusetts. We run, that year that I went with Jeff, we run 85 races and we won 55, so I feel I'm real comfortable with Jeff.
Billy and I go way back. Back with the asphalt modifieds, and we raced Syracuse together with a dirt car, and so we're just old friends, and it's going to be real fun getting back with Billy, racing some races with him and his cars. He's been racing dirt here for the last couple of years, and he's done quite well, so I expect we'll have a good car, a good competitive car, and hopefully I'll be able to drive it fast enough to win some races for him. I guess any asphalt track I might have a little edge on compared to some of the dirt drivers, but they're awful talented guys, and they've run those tracks before, so they'll run very well. But probably on the asphalt tracks with Billy Taylor and myself, with the experience we have, we should do quite well.
I think that it's a good team, and I'm looking real forward to it.
Every once in a while, when we have an off weekend from Winston Cup, we'll go around to a dirt track anywhere in the United States and race. So I really enjoy dirt racing. It's where I started, and who knows, maybe that's where I'll end up.
Well, Andy, can Jeff Bodine and Kenny Schrader be a factor in these races?
No driver is better than his car, and Bodine has got a car from the Lape stable and a car from the Billy Taylor stable, as we talked about earlier. Decker, Billy Decker, and Floyd Decker will be supplying Kenny Schrader's cars. Those are top equipment. Look for those guys to be in the hunt.
All right, make sure now that you mark those events down on your calendar. Do not miss them. The Dirt Stars invade the great white Northland when we come back as This Week on Dirt continues.
Hi, this is Jeff Bodine. In 1 week, I'll be at Granby and Drummond. Don't miss it.
During midweek and washed away all traces of the Skoll Racing Super Dirt Series at Williams Grove and Grandview. But we do have exciting dirt action from many venues. Here's Brian Spade.
Saturday night at Canandaigua is kind of one of those nights that are eerie and possibly a full moon out, but needless to say, you can see from the start it was going to be a rough evening for these modified drivers. Watch here, Don Dietz Jr., Lance Young, John Ventura kind of mixing it up. Mark Osterhout saving his car from a spin out, and other drivers just trying to make their way around the track. Well, out front, Lynn Huff, running the best he has all season long in his Bayrash Speed Equipment Modified, was running on the outside of the track, holding off Alan Johnson in his brand new Conley LaForce car. Bob McCready, in a car damaged the night before at Ransomville, was on a rampage from the back of the pack. Eventually, both drivers would get by Huff to move up towards the front. McCready challenged Johnson a number of laps before finally taking the lead in his Syracuse Frame Service Modified. Eldon Jensen's floorboards came loose on lap 22, cutting his leg, but he was otherwise uninjured. Watch this restart. Mark Ostrout in car number 38 gets caught up in a small tangle in the front stretch and slams into the front stretch while saving his car from near disaster. Where's Danny Johnson, you ask? Well, as Vinnie Prentice's new car goes by, he's out of the event with motor troubles. In the end, Bob McCready took his second of the year at the Land of Legends. Alan Johnson finished in the runner-up spot. Lynn Huff third, Charlie Donk fourth, and John Moravik fifth. Fred Cade in the air-conditioned car number 212 was the early leader at the Merrittville Speedway in their second 35-lap modified feature on Saturday night. Third-place runner Ken Winfield had trouble early in the event, spinning out in front of the entire pack. Bill Teresi was taken out of the race in this jingle. On the restart, Jamie Turner, son of the legendary Don Turner, put the challenge to Cade. But watch that outside cushion. Here comes Pete Bicknell. Bicknell, who was a 5-time track champion at the Merrittville track, took the lead from Cade down the front stretch using the inside cushion. Something began to falter on the BRP number 42 a few laps later, allowing Jimmy Bigelow to take the top spot in car number 16. Then it was Brian Stevens' turn. The Passero National Collision number 444 also used the outside groove to get by Bicknell. Soon after, Bicknell charged back underneath to remain in the second spot, with Stevens in third. It was all Jimmy Bigelow's night, though, the Beechwood Golf Club number 16 coming home victorious over Bicknell and Stevens, with Joe Plazik, Don McGinnis, and Scott Wood, who won the night's first modified feature, rounding out the top 6. This was Bigelow's second win of the year at the Merrittville Speedway. At the Can-Am Speedway in Lafargeville, New York on Saturday night, everyone was on their toes after that terrible crash last week. Steve Roberts spinning out in the beginning of the event. But Pat O'Brien in the Stance Auto Body, Sheldon LeGuy, car number 1, was the big dominant factor at Can-Am on this night. He took the lead at the drop of the green flag and led every single lap of the 25-lap event for his second win of the weekend. Laurent Ladesseur was second and Mark Hitchcock was third.
Yeah, the track's really good, and I got to hand to the Thurstons of the spring conditions. It's been good. It's still a little choppy in the corners, and we're having a bit of a problem with my car in the bumps right now, but we're working on it. It's coming pretty good.
The two big factors Sunday night at Cayuga County were Jack Johnson in the BR DeWitt 12A and Kenny Tremont in the Duchess Overhead Doors Wonderlic Sand and Gravel number 115. Early in the event, Mitch Gibbs spun out, collecting Billy Decker's number 91. Both cars were fairly eliminated after this accident. Danny Johnson's woes continued. Motor problems put the 27J into the pit area by lap number 10. As Jack and Kenny worked their way through the field, Kenny tried every way possible to get by Jumpin' Jack. Eventually, on lap 14, Jack would get around early leader John Proctor for the top spot. Kenny Tremont would move up to second. Alan Johnson also looked strong this night, the Kylan of course number 14J using the outside cushion here to move into third. Johnson would go no farther for the rest of the evening. Charlie Donk has been a consistent runner in Central New York so far in '89, second in points at Canandaigua, fifth in points at Cayuga County. It was all Jake Johnson's night, though, as he took home his first of the year at the Weedsport Oval. Kenny Tremont was second, Alan Johnson third, John Proctor fourth, and Johnny Ventura fifth.
Larry Newber and the Outlaws ride again right after this.
Hi, I'm John Proctor, driver number 352. This week on Dirt, we'll be right back.
Well, in this week's report, we meet the rest of the Outlaws.
During the recent World of Outlaw swing through the Northeast, This Week on Dirt took time out to talk to the people who, more than anyone else, are responsible for this series' continued success. More than World of Outlaw President Ted Johnson, DIRT Prexy, Glenn Donnelly, or even more than Doug Wolfgang. It's the drivers who follow the circuit religiously, but seldom have an opportunity to experience Victory Lane.
The biggest thing, those guys have been to those tracks, you know, I don't know how many times, but they know it like the back of their hand. And we're, you know, we've been to a couple of them quite a few times, and it takes a little bit of money to get right in there with those guys. And we can beat them once in a while, but not every time.
These cars are all so close that, you know, it kind of relies on the mechanic and the driver, you know, and, you know, experience is everything in these cars, because you don't get any practice, you know. Your practice is racing, and so I think it has a lot to do with the experience part of it.
Those guys all start at the bottom, and, you know, I'm just kind of paying my dues right now and trying to get some experience, maybe get a sponsor. I've just always wanted to do it, and I've made a real commitment to it, and I've given up a lot in the last 10 years to get here. And back home, we were one of the fastest racers in our area, so it was time to jump off the top of that ladder and get on the bottom of this one.
Andy, I think it's a fair question. Why go through all this madness?
Well, I don't know. That is a good question. I've asked myself that the last couple of months. We had a real good month in California. Made a lot of money, won a couple races, went pretty fast. Now we're struggling a little bit. It's really tough. It gets tiring, and it gets lonesome, and everything gets down, and when things are clicking, they're clicking, and when things aren't, why, then you start asking yourself those questions.
They win most of the races. They don't win all of the races. So, you know, we won one race this year, and, you know, we're starting to come into our own this year, and it gets discouraging, but, you know, they got a lot of years on us, you know, and I got a long way to go. I just started this. I've been racing about 4 years, and, you know, I think, you know, when I get to, you know, to where I have about 10, 15 years experience, you know, maybe it'd be discouraging for other people, you know. me winning all the races.
Steve, you know, the romantic journalists always want to say that life on the road means sleeping in the back of the truck, eating hamburgers, and maybe stopping at the roadside park to relieve yourself. All myth. It's not true, right?
I wish. I've been gone for a week and a half coming back here, and I've been in a motel room one night. We sleep in the back of my truck. We've got enough room for 3 people to lay down in it, and that's what we've got. I got my girlfriend and one mechanic with me, and we sleep in the back of the truck, and, you know, we eat at Denny's and places like that, and wherever it's cheap.
I just want to, you know, I want to run where all the fast guys are, and this is where they're at. I don't really, you know, at home, you really can't get anywhere. It's more of like a weekend deal and to go out there and blow off some steam. Out here, you can make some money, and if everything's right and you got the right people behind you, you can make more than just average living. So that's why I'm here, plus I love to race.
You have just heard from several of the dedicated racers on the World of Outlaw Trail. And just remember, the next time you see a sprint car race, without an 8th, 9th, and 10th place finisher, there is no winner. For This Week on Dirt, I'm Larry Newber.
Well, here are some winners. Top 5 point standings: Bobby Davis Jr., Jeff Swindell, Jack Howdenchild, Tim Green, and Joe Gertie, the top 5.
Second 5 in the Outlaws, pretty much the same. Esch, Hillenberg, Keel, Siegel, and Wolfgang.
All right, our nice and easy driver of the week coming up just ahead. The circuit has experienced many new winners. Seems like some of the old favorites have faltered just a touch. Let's see if the trend continued this past week. We'll start with the results. Skoal Racing Super Dirt Series 89 at Williams Grove rained out, rescheduled for August 22nd.
Ditto for Grandview. They'll run that one on August 23rd.
On to the modified results. Airborne Robert Ranger.
Lazaro was second in that, incidentally. Moving on to Canandaigua, Bob McCready, the winner.
At Cayuga County, Jack Johnson.
Marco Potvin at Drummondville.
Meanwhile, at Flemington, it was Fritz Eppright.
Ray Delmata, his second of the year at Fonda.
Rael LaFrance at Granby.
Another new winner at Lebanon Valley, John Flack Jr.
Couple of winners at Merrittville, Scott Wood and Jimmy Bigelow.
Ralph Hessler won the modified Saturday at Middletown.
Danny Johnson, a couple of feature wins at Ransomville.
Moving on to the small blocks up at Plattsburgh Saturday, Mike Parati in Victory Lane.
At Can-Am, it was Pat O'Brien.
Mark Hitchcock at Cornwall on Sunday.
Rain at Edelweiss.
Friday at Frogtown, Pat O'Brien.
On to Flemington, Rick Chilmonic.
Orange County, Mike Rickey in the small blocks.
At Woodhull, Billy Van Pelt.
And moving on to the sportsmen, Gary Drum won both halves of a twin bill Friday night at Dundee.
And at Humberstone, it was Bruce Parks. Andy, who is our nice and easy grocery shop's driver of the week?
Doug, he won Friday at Frogtown. He won Saturday at Can-Am, none other than Pat O'Brien.
All right, congratulations to Pat O'Brien. He'll receive a check for $200, a special medallion, and is eligible for the Nice and Easy Driver of the Year Award, and a check for $1,000. Our request for video from our fans provided dividends right away. Coincidentally, it refers to Dirt's big race at Sunair.
This week's fan footage takes us to the Lancaster National Speedway, a recent purchase by Dirt's Alex Friesen near Buffalo, New York. Lyle Dara, a member of Bob McCready's pit crew, took these shots of McCready practicing for the upcoming St. Air Super Speedway event on July 9th. McCready was turning laps of 18 seconds flat on the half mile. In fact, last Saturday's feature winner at Lancaster was only turning 18.2 seconds. Running on McCreary's, McCready said the tires could last 200 laps as there was virtually no wear on his Troyer Engineering number 9. Next week, he plans on testing once again, and he thinks he can go 17.5 seconds. Very fast for a dirt modified on asphalt.
Thanks, Lyle, for sending in your exciting action of Bob McCready. Now you receive a free t-shirt from This Week on Dirt.
All right, send your dirt video, P.O. Box 241 Speedway Drive, Weedsport, New York, 13166. Upcoming events, Monday, July 3rd, big weekend on hand. New York State Fairgrounds, Skoal Racing Super Dirt Series 89.
The next night, July 4th, Rolling Wheels, the Firecracker 76.
And on Wednesday, July 5th at Ransomville Speedway, Silver Cup Championship, $12,000 to win.
And don't forget this one, the dirt cars back on blacktop. Sunair, Sunday, July 9th. Be there.
And now we'll leave you with a glimpse of what some people do on a Sunday evening.
This Week on Dirt is sponsored in part by Miller High Life, by Pepsi Cola, by Ground Round Restaurants, and by Chevrolet, the heartbeat of America.
The excitement on Nesson really heats up in August.
Smith warming to his task on a call. Runners at second and third, 2 outs. Struck him out to finish the ball game, and the Red Sox win it.
Stay with Nesson in August for live and exclusive coverage of 17 Red Sox games. See the Sox in exciting Eastern Division matchups with Baltimore, Toronto, and Detroit. Plus a trip to the Bronx to challenge the Yankees.
Runner at first with 1 out, and Asaski is the batter. Asaski gives it a long ride to center field. Sanders back. He can't get it. And Asaski has a home run. It's tied up.
And a visit to Kansas City to rumble with the Royals and superstar Bo Jackson.
Jackson strikes out. We go to extra innings.
Stay tuned in August for Pawtucket Red Sox baseball with live and exclusive coverage of the Paw Sox in action against Indianapolis and Scranton. Nesson brings you more live excitement in August with coverage of the semifinals and the finals of the Canadian Women's Open Tennis. Plus the American Junior Rodeo Association National Finals from Snyder, Texas. Stay with Nesson in August for great golf action with the European PGA from England, the glamour and thrills of pro beach volleyball from California and Washington State, knockout excitement from professional boxing, and more. August is really hot on Nesson, your New England sports network. We deliver. It's all-out war when Nesson brings you Hulk Hogan and the Macho Man, the WWF from Boston Garden, July 12th at 7 p.m.